Thank you for staying with us. We're still talking about emotionally unstable partners. And we have joining us in the studio a media consultant and PR practitioner, as well as a marriage counselor, Theo Akatuba. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us.
It's a pleasure to join you on a wet Saturday.
Now, I'm sure you've been listening to our conversation talking about emotionally unstable partners. And we're talking about how our mothers those days, they did not get the help of our fathers, be it in the kitchen, taking care of the kids, and all of that. Yet they stayed in the marriage, they were able to manage the home, unlike what we see now, and people are beginning to raise their eyebrows with the man being emotionally unavailable and the woman being emotionally unstable because of all of these issues that we have raised. From your point of view as a marriage counselor, what are the underlying issues that spring up this thing?
Thank you very much. Very interesting topic. The first premise is that I'm finding in this conversation is that our mothers were not helped. I do not think it's a statement that can be correct generally. There should be
the majority of them.
Yes, and again, what you call non-help could be based on the things the woman expects, while the man is helping in the way he thinks he's doing. The first thing is, what is he doing that you think is not your help? What is he acting upon? Why does he think he has done so much?
Yet you're not seeing
that you're seeing it, because you are seeing it only from the point of the things you want him to do. Our parents, they had one form of help or the other, but recently my mom told me, your father doesn't carry the baby. He never carried you. He just come, tap you.
He just told you?
He just told me. That he plays with you briefly and then he goes away. Because he saw me carrying the baby and he said, your daddy didn't do it. He doesn't even do it. He just play and go away. Now, but in general terms, what is wrong with this emotional instability, or what causes it, is wrong expectation. Because if you have a good and proper expectation of things, you will not be surprised or disappointed. What we are doing today is that we are changing the game without training those in the game.
Really? So, okay, just break that down.
You want the man to behave in a certain way, but he has not been trained and oriented to it. And you expect him to understand it, but he's still in the old order that he observed. So the woman is calling for a certain help that the man is not accustomed to. It's not culturally wired or oriented in that direction. So he confronts that new culture that the woman has embraced. So this is the conflict.
Is it necessarily a new culture?
It's a new culture because it's not the order traditionally and even spiritually that men do those jobs that the men are being called upon to do now.
I'm interested in the spiritual.
So they were never wired spiritually to think that way. They are wired to hunt and provide for the home. But all those things seem to have changed because of the economic reality that is imposed upon the family. And this change has not dawned on the man. He's still in that game. He might not be fully performing, but he's still in the game. The woman is playing her traditional role and have added more. This is why her cry is loud. Otherwise, our mothers, they did it happily and took it upon themselves as their responsibility.
Were they really happy?
They were happy. You might say a few were not happy, but majority of them did it with joy.
Because you hear statements like, I'm here for you, children.
I'm here for my children.
And that is the truth, and that is correct. She sacrificed her good for you. And that is what a mother should do.
What about the women that are emotionally unstable?
Good.
You know, what are the factors that actually...
There are many because of expectation. If you expect your husband to be with you in the kitchen as your way, your thought, your expectation, as your love language. And he does not play that. Women are easily frustrated and they get emotionally disorganized when things do not work in the structure they had dreamt of.
But then,
So when they present themselves with a surprising, but they are emotionally, flippant. They change and they can adapt. One of the greatest gifts of a woman is
adaptation.
capacity to adapt, which today we are not elevating in teaching. We're actually saying, run away from stress.
Shouldn't we?
Yeah. There are some women, in fact, there's some individuals actually who actually have this emotional instability due to insecurity.
That's another matter.
Yes. So to what extent do you think that insecurity affects how an individual behaves in a
It
relationship?
affects you in a way that you could kill yourself or harm the one you love. Okay. Insecurity is a dangerous state to be because you do not believe that what you have can stay like that. You do not believe that you do not even value your contribution. That's first problem. You have low self-esteem.
And fear of abandonment.
Because you believe you can't survive on your own, that you need a support. And not only that, that what you have curated, this loving man, could be taken away from you, and you are not seeing that you are you are a very powerful force, and you have not valued yourself appropriately. So because of that misunderstanding of your value, you are constantly afraid. And then also it goes to a level of disrespect for the man. If I'm talking from a woman to a man, I will not come from a man to a woman.
Okay.
When a woman doesn't fully respect the man, he does not value his quality of his judgment. He sees him as a kid who could be snatched. He could be snatched. An emotionally matured man should drive the confidence to his wife that I will make a decision. I will not be deceived, because a man is not deceived.
Really?
No, a man is not deceived. A man chooses to do what he does. The Bible declares so. The man is not deceived. The word, I'm coming spiritual. I don't want to go there. I want to move at the realm of your operation. Men do what they want to do. But even if they pretend that they were deceived because they presented themselves in a state of being deceived, he is the one that took the decision. He's the one that went after it, or he's the one that was seduced and he accepted it.
But can a woman be? So a woman cannot be deceived.
A woman can be deceived, for a woman is deceived. The word
Just
deceived
like
means,
Eve.
yes, it's a condition upon all Eve children.
Right. Now, I want you to talk about a situation. We know that our environment also influences us emotionally, psychologically, whichever way. How about the aspect of upbringing, where you were in an environment where you did not experience love, or you did not experience situations that could help you value yourself in the first place, where you became unstable because of the abuse, even from your parents? How does that affect one emotionally?
Powerful. What is a man except his upbringing? What is a person? It's an embodiment of his orientation and upbringing, the circumstances, his culture, which is in his DNA. Every one of us are product of cultures. And Urobo woman is Urobo. Whether she lived in Urobo land, it's in the DNA. And there are certain things that go with being Urobo. It's in the blood. A Yoruba woman is Yoruba. So when you are marrying a person, you are not marrying an individual, you are marrying culture. Today, they might be latent, they might be quiet, they might not be expressed because she's educated or civilized in the cultures of other people. As she grows older, that culture begins to manifest. That's why you see people say, I want to stay with my people. So every young person will say, I don't like culture, I don't believe in it. Just mark the person. Another when the person 40, 50, you see the person gravitating towards the same culture that they were averse to. They will be the one that want to implement it. So orientation, upbringing is actually what we are dealing with. That's why I said I started. That you are playing a game but the game players have not been trained in the rules of the new game. So while man and woman are talking of modernity and civilization, the man is standing on the civilization on the standpoint of his past, not now. You are the one in front. So this conflict exists in all marriages.
Right. So if you're going into a relationship, I believe that there are always red flags. You always see the signs, or you have indicators that help you to decide if you want to be with this person for the rest of your life. So if you're in a relationship, what are the signs that actually point to the fact that your partner is emotionally unstable, and what should you do in such a
Number
situation?
first one today, too frequent calls. Too frequent unsolicited calls checking on you.
But there are those who enjoy it.
They do, but they don't know the implication.
Okay.
Right.
They don't know what it will bring.
If
They
Talk
don't
to
know.
us about
They won't see it as red flag. They will see it as a loving gesture.
this guy is just so caring, oh my
Absolutely.
God.
But the signs now is that this one
He won't let
is
me go.
feeling unsafe and is stylishly checking where you are, what you are doing, is gathering data and information.
Sir, sir, before you go on, these frequent calls,
Yeah.
so what would you term as average?
Good. An average call in the morning, maybe sometime in the evening, or maybe a little drop of a text message in the afternoon, with the confidence that you are doing the right thing. Not frequent. This minute I've called. And then he wants to report to you, oh, I just saw somebody, I just greeted, we just turned left, we just turned
But what
right.
if the person is just very jovial and just...
That is the problem. It's jovial, but you will have to deal with that because the person is jovially insecure.
Yeah, exactly. So what are the other signs?
So you go with the person that you love and you marry, then you deal with that because that you will at a point you will get fed up. What's all this? I'm in a meeting and they will tell you, why didn't you pick it?
Because
You know I need to talk to you if I don't. You are being blackmailed into
Why didn't you tell me you were going to have a meeting?
because the person felt immediately that you didn't pick it. Something untoward is happening. Other
that's
red-
like an underlining
Yeah.
mask of insecurity.
Other red sign, when the person says, I don't like culture, that's one of the biggest red signs that many people even gravitate towards such people. You don't like culture, then what are we going to live by?
The word of God.
The values and morals.
Well, no, word of God is culture.
Yes.
So if person say I don't like culture, reject him because he is a danger. He's an emotionally unstable because what determines him are unknown. They are fleeting emotions. If the rain is falling, it's good. If the weather is hot, if there's traffic, he's jumping here and there. Then a woman. When a woman is behaving, a man should be, the Bible says that live with them according to understanding. 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 7. Live with them. What are you understanding? A woman's outward behavior now is not exactly what she's talking about. She's influenced by many other factors.
Like what?
I cannot tell you. There are many.
What's the essence of this
I'll
conversation?
give you an example.
Right.
A woman is unhappy about the economic state of the home, but she loses interest with your romantic sexuality and she doesn't feel interested. But she's telling you that her body is weak, she's tired. But what is the cause in the economy? But she's not telling you that. She's afraid of when the next financial security will come, when I'm going to pay the fees. She's worried about the fees. But the man is resolve the fees, but I want to have fun so I can have energy for the fees. So I can have the strength for the fees, the battle. I want to be validated. I know we are down.
I want to decongest
I don't
my
want
brain.
you to make me feel I'm down and out.
Right.
I want to be desired by the minimum, the person that is the only one left for me. If she also rejects me, I'm gone. So men are so definite. That's why when they are rejected, they will look for somewhere. Why a woman is rejected, she will speak to the rejection in many ways. And that's what people say emotional instability. Because she's angry at the cop, she's angry at the baby, she's angry at the dispatch rider. Everybody is just irritating because the fundamental cause has not been removed. And our people say that the blood will continue to remain on the fingernails until the lies are completely removed from the hair.
So would you say that the importance of knowing yourself, right, regarding emotional stability is very, very important?
In fact, that's the first victory you win over self. Because when you have no self-knowledge, who are you going to relate with? Because you are relating with people based on who you are. You have to have a certain level of self-value. If you go on in life thinking that you are not valued by anyone, it's because you don't have value for yourself. So it comes from that low self-esteem and, above all, wrong expectation. A man is going to walk through life just like you are walking through life. If you met him with a lot of money, be sure that, prepare that one day storms will come. And those storms, they don't have definition. That's why those who wrote marital vows, the Western marital vows, they wrote something, even though they have no biblical backing. They said, for
Better or
for
worse.
the worst there. Do you know the meaning?
Can it be
When
defined?
situations change.
And that worst has no definition. It could be as bad as living under the bridge.
When situations
When
change.
there's no financial, it could be a sickness, ill health. So when people make those pronouncements, they don't see the extent, but looking at the happy side, for better.
But some
So,
people have taken out that.
for worse now. They
Yes.
made it for better, for better.
Better,
That's
for
another
best.
bad orientation.
Now, this matter of self-value, how does one gauge it? Or how do you ensure that you understand your worth as a person?
Correct. In many homes, sometimes people are devalued from their homes. You just told me about circumstances, family, the way you were treated. But a hard upbringing sometimes produces very strong personalities in tough circumstances. That's why you see that if you want to train a good boxer, you take him through a hard approach. A soft upbringing also can be a liability to certain kind of husbands. If you were brought up soft and you were brought up what they call ajebota, and you decide, no, ajebota girl like ajepako boys.
True.
I don't know
Ironically,
why, but I find that all the time, and I always laugh because they tend to fascinate them because what they did not experience. They see this streetwise guy who can deal with all circumstances. But they soon discover that when the marriage starts, the ajepako can become a liability. Why the other person took her. So both of them start having problems because of wrong expectation based on upbringing. So what you must do is that you must discover yourself on the journey of life. Anyone listening, if you have a challenge with defining who you are, stop whatever you are doing and go find out who you are. Once you understand who you are able to deal with the kind of husband you are with, if you already married the person, or you're now able to make the right choice of the type of woman that you want to marry. That way, the person will behave towards you from a point of deep-seated orientation, which means the person is not fake. It's going to be natural.
So in a
So
situation...
I wanted, just hang on please. Okay. I wanted to, if you could, in specific terms, help people understand how to find themselves.
Right. It starts from spiritual introspection. Who am I? Why am I born? Why was I born? What am I in this world to do? Now, these questions should not have answers as you ask them, because a lot of people say, my purpose in life, all they are thinking is to be president, to be governor. Your purpose could be a house help. I'm telling you, and that is your pathway, because you have to surrender to that purpose. Moses had to be born and taken to the home of Pharaoh, but his greater purpose is to deliver Israel. But at that point, he was in the home of Pharaoh doing all the hard job. He had not discovered the real purpose of. So we shouldn't, a lot of motivational speakers always say, find purpose. Everybody's mind is set as on glowing lifestyle, astronaut, no.
So if I hear you correctly, that means purpose is progressive.
It's progressive because you don't even know it fully. It only reveals as you keep going. That's why what you find doing at the moment, do it well so that the next level will be open onto you.
Okay, so I was going to ask, this is before marriage now. So if you're in a relationship with someone, I have seen situations whereby the partner, one of the partners, has seen that their partner is emotionally unstable, and then they still try to change. They put in everything. They think they can change them. What do you say to these people in these kind of relationships?
You've heard that the person is, you know now. The biggest asset that anyone can use to manage an emotionally unstable person is patience. And that's a scarce commodity in our climb. You have to be patient, again patient, again patient. Because the person is unstable, then you must walk through with the instability and then put leg on the various footstools of her instability and calmly hear her out. When a woman is worried about something but she's not telling you, she can only tell you from being patient. And you hear her, she's nagging. You ask her, this is not your personality type. You've made a story. You say, somebody said here that my husband called me, I'm not your enemy. It's like a reality check.
Yes.
Why are you treating me as? Because,
I'm your enemy.
yes, I am a friend. I might be doing wrong, but I have a good goal.
Intention.
That kind of behavior.
But it is not the
Patience.
partner's responsibility to nurture this person.
It is your responsibility to nurture.
At some, maybe you've actually tried, you've put in everything, and they are not willing to board. In fact, it's taking a mental toll on you. Why don't you,
No, you cannot abandon.
Maybe before marriage.
No, you
I'm saying
cannot
before
abandon.
marriage.
No, even if you want to marry the person, you are seeing that your job is cut out. At this very beginning, you need to reconstruct this person. Then you take the decision. But if you don't have the capacity,
I have a question.
you should break it before marriage.
To make it, no, when you land, I need to say
You
something.
should break it before marriage. But having been married, after all, what is the role of a wife to a man? Her primary role is to help him.
But when the person has trust issues, is always complaining.
But
Then why should the person get into the middle?
some
No, all
cases,
these issues you
are
have
the
said,
things
trust
that you should
issues, are what you
leave.
came to help. There are issues. If a man has no issues, you
If you
won't
know
marry
you
him.
cannot
You don't
handle
need
it, you shouldn't get in the first place.
That is why you evaluate. That's why they say you date, to know his baggage.
Right.
In a-
What
There
I
are
want to
some
say, I'm
things
coming.
that
Okay.
you
What I wanted to
go
say
ahead.
is the fact that the notion people have about marriage, it has to be clear that you are not there to nurture the person. You are there to nurture one another.
Absolutely.
No,
You
not in
contribute
marriage, but
into
before it.
each other's
Yeah,
lives, even as you are dating,
Dating.
whatever you want to call it.
You contribute.
You
But there's
contribute to
there's
each
some
other's
people,
lives.
There's some people that are damaged. They need to go and find
What,
themselves.
if you cannot handle it, why are you there?
So which means
Yes,
you
you
didn't
direct-
realize it. This
No,
person
no,
didn't
you-
realize it before marriage, or they saw it and felt
Yeah,
it.
they are in a relationship. You've already seen all the red flags. You've done your best possible to
Then you
help
break the
them.
relationship.
Exactly. But
Don't-
there are some people that want to still die in the relationship just because they think, oh, this is, maybe they've gone to one spiritual father that said, oh, this is your husband, you must not leave him, or I will not, for the fear of finding somebody else.
have a question.
They want to
Let
damage
him answer
themselves in the process.
What you are saying is correct. The person is your husband. Do you know that we are all sent here to do something? You met a man who you were made to help. And you now told who made you to help that the help I need to give is too much. I want to leave this one and look for a simpler help. That's what you're looking for. The task of helping him became too big because he's damaged.
Yeah.
So what you did, having married him, what did you do? Either you divorced and abandoned him, or you left him, you didn't even marry him and look for someone you thought that his own baggages are.
If you can't handle it, let it
Let
go.
me
It's your
go.
question.
So
Yeah.
taking upon your task is the first thing. If you believe in God, some people don't believe in God. They act as their own gods. They act what is prevalent, trending. Such people can decide that, oh, abandon him, look for another task, and go and get. The basic rule is, this man cannot be alone. I will make for him a help.
There will always be someone who...
Yes. Mr. Theo, you mentioned something about patience. And I agree with you that patience is quite lacking in our generation today, right? But in situations where this patience seems to be life-threatening, such that the partner is inflicting some form of pain that could cause a life to go, and you know, all that we hear around our mothers, fathers, pastors, everybody saying, have patience, be patient, go back. Go back. In situations like that, what would you recommend?
Yeah, you are told to be patient, but not to remain in danger. Your patience is to walk him through his difficulty, but you must stay out of danger.
Exactly.
You must separate from a dangerous person. Someone who inflicts pain on you is not someone who is loving you.
Absolutely.
A man is asked to love you. So if he's inflicting pain, you must stay away from him, that he doesn't see you to inflict that pain on, but you keep the marriage relationship active while he goes through his its
Healing
transformation.
process.
Yeah.
Let's even talk about this aspect of therapy. There are those who do not believe in going to see a shrink, a psychologist, whoever, to help
Counselor.
them walk through this path of recovery from this matter of instability. What's your advice to such persons, or how should people who find themselves in such a situation, who are looking for solution, how should they handle it?
Okay, thank you very much for that one. I think you must agree this person is emotionally challenged. He might not even be knowledgeable enough that emotionally
He's
challenged.
emotionally
And
challenged.
therefore, it is also part of the emotional problem not to want to present himself before a psychologist. So you must understand him totally and do not present him as a patient. Rather, let him freely walk into a friendly conversation. If you make it obvious, we must say a psychologist, then we say, no, I don't need it. I'm okay.
Even
But
a
if you
counselor.
walk into it playfully, we're going for a little drink out and the man is in there and he doesn't even know he's talking to a psychologist until they finish, and his problems are straight to him that, Mr. Man, I'm just a friend, but I think these are your issues. But if you make him look, if you tell Nigerians today that have mental disorders, they go to a psychiatrist,
They will not agree.
they will never agree.
No, I'm
because
not mad.
the fact that I went there and I feel that form, meaning I have gone through a psychiatric test or check, I'm now like a madman. So people want to stay away from that kind of toga. So you must, you see, when someone that's emotional unstable, just simply need a lot of attention. So whoever is married to such, you have a load of work, and you do not impatiently do that job, because there is a job for you. And that job is to demonstrate your love at its highest extent.
I was going to go to that.
What do you call love?
Love, yeah.
According to the Bible, is defined as what? It's defined as quality of long suffering, enduring all things.
Oyedamola doesn't even want to hear. No.
There are four attributes that talks about patience.
I'm a baby
He
girl.
said hope endures, is patient, long suffers.
Above such, there is no law.
Correct. So which means you have a wife who is emotionally unstable. Let's work for you. So you must now win the game with the quality of patience. Victory is sure, but it will take time. It will take time.
But when
But
do
it takes two to tango.
Yeah,
Until that person also realizes that
there's a problem.
there is a problem.
Now,
That
that's
is
the
where
question.
until the person realizes it's your work now. You are working the person to the
That's
realization
the question.
point.
How do people themselves, as individuals, realize that I have a challenge?
It takes patience of the person, of the man. For example, I used to have a girlfriend that she cried a lot, and she uses her cry as an emotional blackmail. And it was very
gaslight.
tough, you know. So I had to, work with that. It took a long time for me to say, well, your journey, you become, to the extent you're becoming diabolical because you are afraid that you might not walk through. Yes, that's what they do. If a woman is in a relationship and she's unsafe, she might just she might fall victim to something that she's not intending.
Secure your mind.
Yes.
This.
I met a woman. She was the rank of a professor. She had that insecurity to the extent that a friend of hers told her that they have met a man of God, a prophet that want to help her so that her husband will not go anywhere. Such a big person, had to go for a conversation with a prophet, an illiterate, who presented himself as a prophet. Unfortunately for her, her hand had mistakenly pressed her phone and her husband had picked.
Oh my God.
And so the husband recorded all her conversation with this man.
Wow.
She was shocked. And yes, and the man gave her something to read, put this in water for him. Look at what insecurity, emotional instability could make a woman of that stature be brought down to.
Wow. What happened at the end of the day?
It was tough. It was like, oh my, the story is very long.
Wow. But how critical is having conversations with your partner?
That is the point. It is in conversation that your patience is actually developed. In conversation, you hear the true intent and the real worries of the person. When a person who is emotionally unstable is listened to, she's healed 50% because she wants to be assured, not only in words, but in action. She wants to be assured. Some are saying they are inadequate, they are less beautiful. When they see someone who's more beautiful, they are nervous. All that are all problematic.
Okay.
So a man who marries an emotionally unstable woman should be loving, raised to power 2.
Same goes for the woman.
Same goes for the woman.
That is married to.
Mr. Theo,
Yes.
I always admire the work that you do, or maybe marriage counselors in general, because I see that, you know, people bring in a lot of baggage on you.
Yeah.
So in my head, I'm just wondering, how do people like you refresh? I mean, how do you...
Yeah.
Who is the counselor to the
Who's the...
counselor?
Exactly.
That is where the problem is, because a counselor faces certain challenges that those he counsels faces, and he's unable to deal with it. For talk is cheap. Because we are all humans. But what reminds a counselor like me when I face a seminar, I just switch to the client and ask myself, if I were to be counseled, what would I say to myself? So it is important that knowledge is good and you don't act. I refresh by knowing that you are doing the right thing, and it's very draining, very, very exhausting, because a lot of people are fixed in their ways. They only came to hear what to validate their next line of action.
Very good.
They didn't come
No,
for
because I was
counseling.
going to ask you, which
Exactly.
has been the most challenging situation that you have had to handle as a counselor? What was the situation?
I was going to
There was
ask
one.
that too,
Yeah,
but I
there
feel like
yeah,
sometimes
there
these
was
things are
one.
personal.
The lady is very educated, the man not as educated, and they have started, this affair was going on, but the man is of another faith, she's of another faith, and the man says she's not respectful, that she's not submissive. And she's a very feminist kind of a person who is...
So what attracted him in the first place?
I wonder, and when I saw the two of them, they are so loving, but yet so divided on certain fundamentals.
Wow.
And then I asked her, I said, please, at the end of a particular session, I said, pray for us. And then she was praying now. She now prayed that God should give her the spirit of humility, started crying. Then I knew it has broken. It was a difficult, before we got to that stage, where she prayed for the humility and started crying because she knew that this is the
Was
battle.
convicted.
Yes.
Very interesting,
Wow.
one. But this time around, I think it's time for us to now turn our attention to Children's Day.
Okay.
He is still going to talk to us about the children, how to raise children with positive behavior. Today is Children's Day, and we have to beam our light on how to raise children. It's very important. We have talked about culture, we have talked about values, we have talked about so many things, and we keep having hearing conversations around, if we don't do something in the next 10 years, these children that we are raising these days, so many things will be lost, our values will be lost, and all of it. How concerning are you with how parents are bringing up children these days as against your time and what we have now?
All right. Any society that has lost its children has lost everything. We're busy losing our children right now. We're not raising children for a greater tomorrow. What we are raising children for are children who will seek their own survivor. Everyone is busy trying to make his child a survivor in a difficult situation. So we're pumping them with ideas that are not within our cultural setting.
Really?
So they are strangers. The moment you dress your child to school, what you have done is that you send the child away from your culture.
So we shouldn't send our children to school? Is that what you're saying?
Because our schools are not training our children for our own use.
Really?
Oh, yeah. So it's a deep problem. So, but if you want me to go surface, but on the surface, the fact is we are generally training the children to dislike us.
How so? We need to understand it.
How? Yes.
You need to know that culture is the foundation of any society. Once they have lost it, everything is gone. What they will be doing is just surviving. So what are we training? What are we teaching our children in school? Are we teaching them that they have a country or they don't? What are they telling them? What are the parents speaking to the children about authorities, about systems? what are the values found upon? Are they Western values? Are they Yoruba values? Are they Igbo values? What are they, when all the Nigerian children meet in a room, what are the cultural standpoints they will all be radiating? Is there a commonality or discordant cultural orientation? So building a nation is not what we are doing. We're actually creating survivalists.
Okay, speaking on emotional stability for children, because, you know, these children are the ones that would be raised to become these emotionally unstable partners and all that. So what are steps that can be taken today to raise emotionally stable children?
Good. You have to be deliberate and agree that I'm training this child to be part of the global or the Nigerian family, who will be a civil servant, a broadcaster, and he should be able to first agree that the system is good. Or if it's not good, it can be good if we do what is right. No one else will do it for us. Because what I see, I took my child from one school recently. What I saw them do there, every time we hold a PTA meeting, there's someone from Canada, from here, marketing how to go abroad. And the entire curriculum appeared to be telling this child about going out of this country. And I knew already that this place is not going to serve my purpose. My children will be in my house. I tell my son to write about Nigeria. He writes 2 lines and then he goes to America and praise America in high heavens. And then he trashes Nigeria in 2 lines.
Wow.
And that's a complete aversion to my own orientation.
Isn't that also an indictment to our system for us to begin to look at how we can evolve?
You are just still talking about bringing up children. We are brought up and we are here now. A lot of us today are averse to our cultures. The first thing they'll tell you is the wrong cultures that we have. They will never tell you the good ones that we have.
Well,
I'm talking about the system in general and talking about government handling of some of these things. Because the society, talking about America, they are looking at how the system works there. But here, it doesn't seem like the system is working.
No, the system
Those are the
is not...
things that most of them look out for and are saying that America is better than Nigeria.
Yes, because America is made of citizens that were properly oriented. A system can't work if the people don't work. Nobody made Nigerian system not to work except the Nigerians. So once you have trained them wrongly, they become a problem to themselves. Everybody wants to escape from themselves. Because the government always will have a good intention, but these people have become its own liability because over the years they didn't invest in them. Nigeria is suffering the consequence of 30 years ago. It's not today.
Of course.
What we are suffering did not happen today. People tell you in 1960, Nigeria was El Dorado. I say because white man just left 10 years, so we've not abandoned the track record, the track of what they put down. We have started practicing our misdirected trainings, and everybody is fighting each other.
Right.
Well, I think there are schools in Nigeria that are still preserving, the culture. Because you see them holding cultural days. You see them,
Is that in itself enough?
Yes, they teach them about food. They do presentations in their languages. They have civic education. There are still some schools that are still preserving that culture.
We must praise them.
Yes, and we must praise them. So you cannot compare it to schools abroad that are actually teaching children, some schools abroad that are teaching children to be non-binary. Or you can decide to identify as a cop. You can decide to identify. Yes, you can decide to be a man when you are actually a woman. They're telling the children that their parents do not have the right to actually name their genders until they grow up to decide for themselves who they want to be. So how do you think we can protect, because you cannot protect your child forever. At some point, they need to go out to mingle with other people in the world. What are the values that you need to inculcate in your child to help them, to protect them from such mentalities that, okay, this is where I'm coming from. This is not how we are, so.
Yeah. Very, very, you see.
How do you do that?
You see, the West, they're very, very wise. Yeah. They're very smart. And they do not take anything for granted. So the agenda today in the development of their culture is that they've gotten to a stage where they are now promoting these ideas. They did not just glamorize it. They took it into the educational curriculum. You see how serious they are? So if you want Nigerian child to greet, it has to be in the curriculum. If you want a Nigerian child to think about Nigeria, it has to be what we repeat and teach them. The child will come home and will sometimes teach the parents if they are wrong.
Absolutely.
Just like it is now. In the West, the children are now conflicting with the parents. They've taught me. The parents say, no.
This is not...
The Islamic man, there was an Islamic man whose son was taken away from him because he was telling the child that that message was wrong, that teaching was wrong. And the child was removed from his house. In this society, nobody will achieve anything if we mistrain the children, because they are the future civil servants, they are the future policemen, they are the future military men. So if in 20 years you have a bad police force, it's because of the failure of today.
Now, so how do we begin to look at creating a safe environment for our children at home and everywhere? We know that the society is evolving as it is, and they will still have to mingle one way or the other. How do we create a safe haven as parents for our children and perhaps insulate them in such that they have a mind of their own when they go out there?
Reinforcement, positive reinforcement. If you're a Christian, your home should operate on the principles of that religion that you profess. Don't be a Christian only in words, where your conversation with your wife do not have the artifacts of Christianity. Don't be a
Practice
Muslim.
what you preach.
Yes, your children should ensure it. Don't lie to your children or with your children and teach them being truthful. What is happening today is that a father is corrupt and he's talking about anti-corruption. He actually lives on corruption. The home is funded on corruption. He is a smuggler of goods against the government rules.
And these children see this.
And they see their father is an illegality. And then you are coming here to teach about legality. You are just a contradiction. There's a mother who is unfaithful and indecent. How can you teach your daughter about decency when even your clouding itself, you don't represent what you teach? So the greatest form of teaching in the African society is observation. Do it, and the children will simply observe, whether you like it or not. Today, if you get married, you will do some things your mother did even when you are not instructed.
Yes.
I
Just
hear
like
a
that.
voice in my head sometimes.
Yeah.
So, for example, when I blend in the kitchen, my mom will usually say, "You don't leave a dirty blender." I'm married, it's been 6 years, but I still hear my mother's voice every time. You don't leave a dirty blender.
And that will go.
So that's the foundation.
That's it. That's all. Homes are the places where these teachings are developed. School only refines them.
Yes.
Absolutely.
After that, the person becomes strong because the values are there. I have a friend whose son went to the UK for masters. Do you know the surprise? He was confronted with lecturers that are gay and they were forcing him, but he stood his ground. And he survived, but quickly returned home because he said he couldn't stand this place because of the strength of the values upon which he stood. So if you don't develop them, those 18 years your children are with you are the window God has given to every parent. If you use that period for grooving, enjoying Domino pizza, or extra, I'm sorry about that, or just taking them out and having good
Or
time.
not being available to them.
That is it.
Yeah.
You must be available. If your job takes you far, you must be constant on the phone. You must use Zoom to do meetings. In fact, we need to be 10 times more than we have ever been because Google and other platforms are taking our children away.
Also, do not transfer aggressions.
This is how far we can go. Our time is up. It's such a short time, but it's been an interesting conversation with you, Theo Akatugba, a media consultant and PR practitioner, as well as marriage counselor. We must thank you for joining us on the program this morning.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure enjoying this moment with you. Hope to see you again soon.
Certainly, we'll have you here sometime soon. That's the much we can take on the program this Saturday morning. I hope that we've been able to make your Saturday quite interesting. Do enjoy your day and have a restful weekend. Bye.
Bye.